Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E. G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
We're up to minute 91 of Groundhog Day, which is basically getting us into the start of the bachelor auction. Coming into this minute, the song ends, the dance stops, people applaud. Buster comes up with the gavel, bang, bang, bang. Oh no, he does 4 times, I remember specifically because I wrote about it in an entry connecting this to Doctor Who and the Master. It's the whole thing. If you're a Doctor Who nerd, you should get the reference of... Anyway, Buster up at the thing. Oh, well, before we get to Buster, if you look around the crowd in this shot, you will see, if you've been paying attention to extras in the movie, you will see a lot of familiar faces at the banquet. There are people who were at Gobbler's Knob. There are people who were in the diner. Are there people we saw elsewhere? I mean, there are people we saw those 2 places or elsewhere, like Buster and his wife. I assume Buster's kids are in this crowd, but I don't remember ever identifying them. Speaking of the crowd, though, the end of last minute's episode, I was talking about the reification of, patriarchal male-female relations, and there is another couple that should be referenced here, because I've not mentioned them this entire season, but they were on stage at Gobbler's Knob for the prognostication. It's a high school thing they actually do in Punxsutawney, which I think is named this way officially, it's not a problem with the movie that it names it in this uneven gendered way. Basically in Punxsutawney, they pick, I think out of the elementary school, they pick a couple kids to represent the day and be there at festivities, and then they pick high schoolers. We see the high school couple, Punxsutawney King and Miss Punxsutawney, which is very sort of patriarchal, misogynist, gendered titling. They should be Punxsutawney King and Queen. They are dancing together. Buster gets up. Okay, folks, attention. Time for the big bachelor auction. Now you all know the rules. All the eligible bachelors come down in front, and you ladies, you bid on them. And we get a lot of, reaction from the crowd, like, oh, come on. And there's women sending their men up on stage, which is kind of amusing. Buster's about to let us know this is for charity, of course. So sending the guy you're with up on stage and then buying him is a nice charity move. But also you do run the risk of someone else outbidding you. And if you're there on a date with someone and then you send them up on stage and they get bought by someone else, that has got to suck. Your date just ended. Buster continues. You get to do whatever you want with them. No questions asked. Covers his ears. I don't want to know about it, as long as it's legal. Okay, so get out your pocketbooks and remember, it's all for charity. Now, for the younger people in the audience, a pocketbook is a wallet, essentially, and or a checkbook. I don't know specifically. A pocketbook, I think, can be both. For Rita, it's a checkbook. She pays with a check. But pocketbook can also refer just to your wallet. Get out your money and get ready to pay. I don't think they're taking credit cards, and it's 1991, so they're definitely not taking things like Venmo or Cash App. Among the various people, some people are heading up. I believe the first one to go up toward the stage is a guy who I didn't even comment on him in the recent minutes. I kept setting him up. I was talking about how he was annoying before he even showed up in the movie. At the diner on God Day, we could see him in the background waiting for a table. And while Phil and Rita were dancing, he and the woman he's dancing with dance in front of the camera 2-3 times. Annoyed me so much because they're the only people that go in the foreground. And it was probably a choice from the director or whoever was coordinating the extras. I guess that's a first AD thing. They wanted someone to go in the foreground so it didn't feel too unrealistic that Rita and Phil are just at the front of the crowd, away from everyone. But also, that means those two keep getting right up close to the camera. And then that guy, I should look up his name. So if you happen to know him, or he happens to be listening, he will contact me on social media, and I will do a special episode just for him. Because I have been so mean to him over the years, and being annoyed by him. But part of the problem is, he's listed on IMDb in this movie. You can list yourself on a movie if you are in the background role. As long as you have a paid IMDb account or someone you know does, they can put you on there. And it is up to the people that's their movie. I think they can take you back off of it if it's not true. So you can't just add yourself to whatever movie. His name is Daniel Riggs. and he is listed as bachelor, uncredited. His IMDb, he's got a photo, which means he's doing some other stuff. What's he doing? Filmography. He is an actor in 4 things, which is Hoffa 92, Groundhog Day 93, The Animal 2001, and The Weatherman 2005. He's also additional crew as a stand-in on Ocean's 12, a production assistant on Hottie Boom Baladi, and he's listed as a writer for a 2013 production called Secondhand Hope. He's the co-writer. Listed as upcoming, so I'm guessing this didn't happen. I mean, good for him, doing some writing and whatever else he does for a day job, I don't know. Wait, that wasn't listed. His bio here says that he's known for Stiffed, or How I Learned to Deal with Disappointment, 2012. That wasn't listed, so I didn't see that. Hottie Boom Baladi, yeah, said that. And Whisper Island, 2007. So, a couple other things there.
Based on an account on Twitter that might be him, I think he currently, or recently, was a co-host of a video podcast about golf called Foreplay, F-O-R-E, from Barstool Sports. I think that's the same Daniel Riggs.
So if you know Daniel Riggs, tell him to get in touch with me, Robert E.G. Black, on social media, or he could find any of the Groundhog Day project pages. There's one on Facebook, there's one on Instagram, there's an account on Twitter, or come to Lemming Drop Studio Tour group on Facebook and you can find me as well. And I will get him on here. I will promote whatever he's doing currently. Because I've definitely called him some names in the past. And it's not even justified. It's not like he made the choice to be the guy who has to dance in the foreground and get in the way. Recording the last few episodes, I didn't even notice him. So clearly he's not that annoying to me anymore. I guess something I talked about in my master's thesis about the presentation of self on the internet, using my blog as the main sort of autoethnographic through line, was that I use the way I write in the blog to sort of brag about film knowledge. And so, additionally, the way I talk about the extras in this movie and talk about how I recognize them from scene to scene and things I notice are my way of demonstrating my expertise, that I have seen this movie more times than you have. If there's someone who has seen it more than me, please also contact me. I'll do an episode with you. We can talk about it. Kyle Sweeney, if you're listening, I don't know how many times you've actually watched the movie, but I know you've watched it a lot. If you are still doing that, if you still go to Woodstock, or maybe you just went that one year, I don't know. You were there in 2014. Contact me. We'll talk. Because, I mean, that's the whole thing. I was going to get into this in 10 episodes from now. But future potential project is a documentary about Groundhog Day and basically doing screenings of it at different places around the country, maybe even around the world, and talking to the audience after. Do like a Q&A. Or talk to individual people that volunteer to kind of give their take on the film and what it means to them. And so the podcast could even include stuff like that. If I could use that as a justification to get funding for the documentary. Or maybe in 10 episodes I'm done. Maybe in 10 episodes I never have to say anything about Groundhog Day ever again. Now, I know that isn't true. I know I will be tempted to come back to it in some way. Even if it's just to watch it on next February 2nd and to comment online about it. I'll do that. In the crowd, he's there. He's the first one sent up on stage by the woman he's dancing with. But we don't see him auctioned because we only see Phil auction, then we see Larry up there and we get the joke and we cut. That's a few minutes from now. For now, we got Doris, who's standing next to old dude who was at Gobbler's Knob. He walked past Phil right by the gazebo, right where Nancy was standing. And we see him a few times in this scene as well. I don't think he was at the diner. He's just a Gobbler's Knob extra. But there's crossover for a lot of these places. Doris is standing by him, but she looks around and then she sees Phil. She goes over to him and says, "Phil, what are you doing down here? Go on, get up there. I got $10. It says you're mine." Now, I talked last minute, I think, or 2 minutes ago, about why Doris might want to buy him. That during the sticky bun conversation, she was definitely staring directly at Phil like she either recognized him from the television or found him attractive, or both. Plus, Phil's best chance to, or maybe not best, but the opportunity we know of where he could have fixed Felix's back is when Felix was in the town square at the armored truck, and Doris was there for that because she comes out to get some quarters. So she could have seen him fix Felix's back. He could have helped so that the quarters didn't get spilled on the ground. Or he helped her pick them up, maybe. Maybe he let them spill and then picked them up for her. So she finds him. She's attracted as well. Why Nancy is attracted to him today, I don't know. She definitely knows who he is, because out in the bar, she said to Rita that Phil Connors is already in there. She knew he was in there playing the piano, or at least knew he was in the room, so she saw him walk in and recognized him. But this morning she didn't recognize him. She didn't recognize him as classmate, of course he wasn't. But she also didn't recognize him as news person, which he is. So at some point today, Phil did something with Nancy. I don't know what. We don't know where Nancy was during the prognostication. Right before it, she's back by the gazebo. Maybe when the crowd was gathering around Phil for his little speech, she was intrigued enough to come closer. And so she found him fascinating. And she knows he's a reporter. Plus, she just wants a guy to go home with. So maybe she's going to bid on everyone until she wins. Doris says, "Hey, Buster, I got your first victim." And Buster's like, "Phil Connors, come on up here." So Phil goes up. Buster's like, "All right, what am I bid for this fine specimen?" Fine specimen. Brian, you silly man. And the first bid, of course, is Gertie, who was in the car with the flat tire, and I was just saying, like last minute or a minute before, that she's here with Sarah, that they're a couple. I guess they're not, or they're looking for a third. They might be looking for a third. Maybe they're looking to have, no, they're too old. I was going to say that maybe they're looking to have a kid, but I think they're too old for that. But maybe they just want to have some fun, you know? So she's like, $5. Buster says, the bidding has begun at $5. The next bid, $10, is Doris, because she said she had $10. Her 10's out. Oh, so sad, because it's immediately raised by Nancy with 15. And I realize, like as I'm watching this minute, my transcript of dialogue does not have names on it. I just have to remember who says what. My transcript for next minute is going to be horrible, because next minute is 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Who's saying this? I know it's back and forth between Nancy and Doris, but we'll see how that goes. And I'll tell you a little story. I think I've already mentioned this, but I'll tell you a little story about the groundhog breakfast in Woodstock, Illinois, next minute. Come back for that. That's all I have for minute 91. Phil is up for sale. And lately I've been giving you advice at the end of the minute related to the minute. Don't go buy anyone. Don't go sell anyone. But if there's a charity auction, yeah, give some money to charity. Arguably, we shouldn't have to. In this country, we should have a government that provides for the general welfare and actually does things for its citizens and makes sure everyone has a livable wage and access to good health care. And we wouldn't need charity. We wouldn't need insurance. It would be taken care of through our collective taxes. But we don't have that because this country fears and misunderstands socialism and communism and thinks that capitalism is somehow greater when all it does is make a small bunch of rich people exploit everyone else. I was going to say I didn't expect this minute to get political, but I guess it makes sense. They're auctioning people off. It's not so sexist because they're auctioning off men, but if it weren't for charity, it'd definitely be wrong. We did an auction, actually. Maybe I should talk about this next minute. Next minute, I'll talk about the auction we did in high school. It wasn't for charity.
You were going to say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?